everybody, I'm TomVasel and welcome to Look Back here on the Dice Tower, where I take a look at reviews that I did 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and 1 year ago this week. And I tell you what I think about the games now, if I think about them at all. So let's go back to 20 years ago. And only one game from this time period, and that's Nobody But Us Chickens. But my oh my, what a great little game this is. I still give this an 8.5. It's still one of those games that you can just pull out and play anywhere. Everyone has a bunch of cards in your hand, chickens, dogs, fox, a rat, and you're playing cards. And as you play chickens, they pile up, and eventually someone's going to want to play a fox and grab all of them. But the rat grabs one first before the foxes do. If you play a fox and I play a dog, I get the chickens, not you. It's kind of a big extended, bluffing type game. I just always thought it worked really well. It's really easy to teach. 10 years ago, Choose One. This is from Looney Labs. It's one of those would you rather type games. It's okay. At best. Not that great. 5 out of 10. Eggs of Ostrich. This is such a weird, unique little game. I stuck this one in just to remind you of it. I think this one just went nowhere. Little tiny game. You're trying to collect eggs of ostriches, outthinking your opponents. Almost like, the game, the chicken game I just talked about, but a little bit more esoteric. 6.5. Not quite good enough. Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. So Stonemaier Games is 10 years old, really, at this point in time. This is not their first game. I think their first game was Viticulture. This is their first game that kind of put them on the map. Viticulture, for me, didn't put them on the map till they edited it, fixed it. Then it became one of my favorite games. Euphoria is such a weird, unique game about... it's a dice placement game, but it's about making your people happy with drugs and things like that. It's an interesting game. I don't think it's amazing, but it's a solid game. 7 out of 10. Carnival Zombie. I never have played the newest version of this. Carnival Zombie was such a cool tower defense type game. You sit there and you're shooting at the zombies as they come in. Really cool ideas. It hasn't aged as well as I like, which is why I dropped it down just a bit to an 8. And Caverna. 10 years of Caverna, one of the greatest Euro games ever made. I just played this game this year with my kids, taught it to them, and such a fantastic, fun game. Easily a 10 out of 10 for me. 5 years ago, I took a look at Mesos Zoo. This is a tile-laying game, although you're using cards and building a zoo. It's fine. It's just a little boring. 6 out of 10. Reichholt. All right, so this is Uve Rosenberg game. I just talked about Caverna. This one was exciting to me because I actually had been to Reichholt, and I thought it'd be neat to see this Icelandic-themed game, and it worked fine. But I will say 5 years later, I've never wanted to go back to it. I think there's some interesting ideas here, but it's just so straightforward, I dropped it to a 6. Talisman, Legendary Tales. This is a cooperative game that's not like Talisman much at all. It's just a very light cooperative game. I think kids would find it okay. 6.5. Woodlands. This one's also a kids-style-based game, but in this game, you're putting clear sheets on top, trying to find a path through them. Some interesting ideas. 7 out of 10. Blackout Hong Kong. Hard to believe this one is 5 years old already. I played this in one of the first Dice Tower retreats. This one is an interesting idea, Blackout Hong Kong. It's just that there's a lot of cool ideas here from Alexander Pfister. It's just that it's so complex to teach and all. I just don't bring it out as much as I want to, so I dropped it to a 7. Festo. This is a game from Game Brewer. I don't normally like Game Brewer games these days, but this one I enjoyed. Maybe it's the eating theme of it, but I gave it a 7.5. And Wildlands. This is from Martin Wallace in his mid-range. I like Martin Wallace's middle range like this, where he does these lighter games where you have 5 different characters on the board. You're running around attacking each other and picking up gems. Just a great little game. 8.5. Last year, I took a look at Vang Legends, a game where there's sleeves on the board and you put things in, a big story game. And the story part of the game is interesting. There's a lot of cool ideas in it. It just kind of pales besides other story games that are easier to play or have more story in them. This one kind of just is an average one comparatively, 6 out of 10. Cactus Town. It's an asymmetrical game where there's a sheriff and outlaws and stuff moving around. The components could be better. It's just, again, it's kind of okay. So 6 out of 10. Spots. This is a little game in which there's a dog with spots, collecting them. You're rolling dice. It's like Yahtzee, collecting stuff, but for a very easy version of it. But it's just so fast, and this is the kind of game that I want people who don't play a lot of games to play. 7 out of 10. Overstocked. This is a game where it has little tchotchke toys and things like that, including the Furby, and you are just placing them and trying to build a little grid in front of you. There's a lot of games like this. I tend to like them. 7 out of 10. Sounds fishy, a little party game where you're trying to give clues, but somebody is lying. 7 out of 10. And Dungeon Fighter, the Collector's Edition. Now, normally not a big fan of these big, giant collector versions of games that come out, but Dungeon Fighter is such a silly, nonsensical game where you're throwing dice at a target, and all this stuff in the box is so good and so awesome. I just really enjoyed this one, an 8.5. So those are the reviews that I did 1, 5, 10, and 20 years ago. Thanks so much for watching Look Back. I'm TomVasel. We'll see you next time.